They say when you live alone long enough, the silence starts talking back. For Jakob, that silence became a voice, his own. But it wasn't just any voice, it was a perfect echo of her thoughts, his fears, his regrets. Jacob had moved into this old suburban house 5 years ago, after his divorce, seeking solitude to rebuild his life. But Solid has a way of twisting into something darker. The house, with its creaky floors and shadowed corners, had always felt a bit off, like it was holding its breath, waiting for something. It was a cold Tuesday night in late autumn. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows like impatient fingers. Then, suddenly, the power went out. The entire house was plunged into an inky blackness that seemed to swallow the room's whole. Jakob sighed, rubbing his temples. He'd been working late on his computer, editing photos for his freelance gig, images of abandoned places. Ironically enough, now, with no electricity, he lit a single candle on the kitchen table. Its flame danced nervously, casting shaky shadows on the walls. He grabbed his phone, battery at 20%, and joked aloud to himself. Well, at least I'm not alone. The words hung in the air, mocking him. And that's when he heard our voice from the basement, identical to his own. Jakob, come help me. Please. It wasn't a shout. It was Opli, laced with the same slight rasp Jacob had carried from years of smoking in his youth. His smile faded. That was his voice, but he hadn't said a word. He hadn't even thought those words. The candle flickered, as if a draft had slipped in, and Jacob felt a chill crawl up his spine, one that had nothing to do with the dropping temperature. He froze in place, his hand still clutching the phone. The air in the room suddenly felt heavy, thick with an unseen presence. His mind raced. Was it the neighbours? A radio glitch from next door? But no, from below, muffled, yet unmistakably clear. He blew out the candle, plunging the kitchen into total darkness, and listened again, straining his ears against the silence. Jakob, please, it's dark in here. The voice trembled, desperate, terrified, yet familiar. It was like hearing a recording of himself from a moment of weakness, maybe that night years ago, when he'd begged his ex-wife not to leave. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest, a rhythmic drum, echoing in his ears. He tried to rationalize it, maybe a prank. Some hacking his old smart space, or perhaps just the wind, carrying sounds from outside. But there was only silence now. The kind of silence that feels alive, watching, waiting for your next move. Gathering his courage, he fumbled through the drawer until his fingers found the flashlight. The beam cut through the dark. Like a knife, the basement door stood at the end of the hallway. An old wooden thing with peeling paint that he rarely opened. He'd stored junk down there, boxes of forgotten memories, rusted tools from failed DIY projects. As he turned the knob, a faint creak escaped, and the smell of damp air hit him like a wall. Musty, earthy, with a hint of something metallic, like old blood. The light barely reached halfway down the stairs. illuminating dust motes, swirling in the beam. And from below, he heard a soft sob, indistinguishable from his own voice. During a breakdown, every instinct screamed for him to run, Slemsador, call the police, barricade himself upstairs until morning. But curiosity is stronger than fear, especially when it's laced with denial. "This is ridiculous," Jacob muttered to himself, his voice echoing strangely in the stairwell. Step by step, the old wooden stairs creaked beneath his weight, each one protesting. Like a warning, the sound of dripping water echoed from below, rhythmic, incessant, like a leaky faucet in an empty room. He paused halfway down, sweeping the flashlight around. Shadows leaped and twisted on the walls, playing tricks on his eyes. The beam revealed old boxes, stacked haphazardly, covered in a fine layer of dust. Broken tools lay scattered across a forgotten workbench. And then, footprints. Wet, fresh footprints pressed into the thin layer of grime. On the concrete floor, they were the size of his own shoes, leading away from the stairs, toward the far wall. Jacob's breath caught. He hadn't been down here in months. WHO, or what, had made those? They led to a small door, one he had never seen before, hidden behind a curtain of cobwebs that shimmered like silk in the light. It was tiny, almost child-sized, set into the brick wall, as if it had always been there, waiting to be noticed. Jakob, open it, please. The voice was closer now, just beyond the door, crying softly. He felt his pulse thundering in his ears, his hands slick with sweat. The flashlight flickered once, twice, as if the batteries were dying at the worst possible moment. Desperate for any clue, he swung the light to the side and caught a glimpse in a shattered mirror, propped against the wall. An antique inherited from his grandmother, cracked, neglected, forgotten, and for a split second, he saw something in the reflection. Himself, but smiling. A wide, unnatural grin that didn't match the terror twisting his real face. The figure in the mirror tilted its head slightly, as if studying him. He stumbled backward, nearly tripping on a loose stair. The reflection didn't move with him. It just stood there, grinning, whispering words his ears couldn't fully catch, fragments like alone, place, and Mina. Then, slowly, the reflection raised its hand, as if pressing against the glass from the inside, and mouthed clearly, "You came back." The words hit Jacob like a surge of electricity. A memory jolted loose, a childhood nightmare. Something about mirrors, stealing souls. He dismissed it as fantasy, until now. The mirror cracked suddenly, a sharp, splintering SNAP, spider webbing across its surface. And from behind it came the sound of crawling fingers, scrabbling, scratching, like nails on stone. Jacob spun around, just as the small hidden door burst open, with a groan of rusted hinges. Dust exploded into the air, swirling in the beam of his dying light. And from the darkness beyond, something began to crawl out. Our shape, our figure, from a crawl space he hadn't even known existed. Jacob screamed, but no one heard him. The sound was swallowed by the basement's depths, and when the flat one last time, stabilizing just enough, there were two Jacobs, standing face to face, one trembling in fear, flashlight shaking in his grip, the other smiling, that same wide, eerie grin. From the mirror, his clotheskel, bat cleaner nur is his gleaming, vis hunger. That wasn't human. I've been waiting, the doppelganger whispered, in Jacob's own voice. It's my turn now. The real Jacob stumbled backward, his mind fracturing, memories flashing like broken film. Nights when he felt he'd blamed on the old house settling. He understood now. It hadn't been the house. It had been him. Or what was trying to be him. The thing lunged. Jacob fought back, the flashlight swinging wildly. He felt its skin, cold, rubbery, like clay. And in that instant, Jakob realized this wasn't a twin. It wasn't a clone. It was something that's howling in the dark, feeding on his isolation, studying him, mimicking him, until it was ready to take his place. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the windows, but the house felt wrong. Neighbours who'd heard strange noises through the night, thuds, muffled cries, finally called the police. When the officers arrived, they found the front door unlocked, the basement door wide open, but no one inside. Only footprints circling the floor, leading nowhere. Upstairs, a single candle still burned. On the kitchen table, its wax had pooled, like tears, beside IT Kop's phone. Screen cracked. On IT, a final lance message. Help me. Days later, the house stood empty, for sale again. But the rumours started. New voice began to echo from the basement. Faint at first, barely a whisper. Please, someone, let me out. Each night, it grew louder, clearer, bolder. But this time, it wasn't Jacob's voice anymore. It was someone else's. Maybe the real estate agent who toured the place alone. Maybe carried from next door, who'd snuck in on a dare. Maybe yours. Because the silence in that house doesn't just talk back. IT learns, IT apps, and once it has your voice, it never lets go. The neighbors swear they still see shadows in the upstairs windows. Two figures, identical, watching the street, waiting for the next lonely soul to move in.